Hello, Steve White, Steve White's 89. Well, Travis Scott is travelling Australia and touring, and he did a concert in Melbourne a couple of days ago, and it was a bit of a disaster. Basically, these sad, insecure boys were so triggered and threatened by having to stand in line like normal people that they had to pull the barricades apart and the lines apart and hoist them over their heads and throw them around and just basically carry on like a bunch of kids having tantrums. And it's pretty sad and disturbing because these aren't kids; these are nearly, grown adult men. So there's now this talk about toxic masculinity in boys, and it is a fairly sad example of how insecure these guys have to be, how easily threatened they are that they couldn't even stand in a line without having to show that they're tough and bigger and they can break the barricade apart and just walk in or something like there's something really wrong, something really deficient there, that these men needed that to feel like they were in control and they were men. It's just really sad. Toxic masculinity doesn't seem to be declining. It seems to be on the rise, where I think part of the movement to sort of... I'm not for the patriarchy, to be clear, but the people who are sort of dismantling that and they're, for the most part, just making men more insecure and making them act out more than they did before when they felt like the patriarchy elevated them. And they had their white privilege and their male privilege. Now they're afraid of that being taken away. The insecure ones are scarier than ever. And I'm not saying the answer is to abandon, taking apart the patriarchy and having, equality for all, women, transgender, different races, whatever, because the patriarchy is mostly white. It's white supremacy is sort of mixed in with the whole thing. They need to take a different approach because it's kind of backfiring at the moment. Like I said, I'm not for the patriarchy. I'm not saying they should quit, but they really need to find a way. If they're going to take away men's traditional ways to define themselves as men, they need to give them something else, in place of that. Otherwise, they're just going to do things to make themselves feel tough, literally. And this is one of those examples of men like that. And I don't know what it is about Travis Scott's music. I'm guessing he's a gangster rapper, and it's just all about... A lot of these gangster rappers are all fake anyway. None of them... They're just... they don't go around living the life they portray. It's all characters, and people are buying into this and thinking that's what a man is, and that's what I have to be, and that's what I want to be. And the saddest thing is when you see really white guys doing it, like they really, really want to be black, basically, and have the stereotypical black experience that we'd have in America when it's Australia. So yeah, it's just a bunch of really sad, insecure men and boys. And what's worse is that they actually let them in. What I would have done is cordon them off, open another gate for the normal people to get into the concert, and taken all their numbers, charged them all with some sort of infringement, and had their details taken down and had them blacklisted with all the major ticket companies so they can never get into a venue for an event again, because this is how they act and this is how they put people in danger. And for the public safety, that's what I would have done. Instead, they'd let them in. So what did they do when they got in? They broke down the barriers of the different areas and the different sections and rushed the different sections. They weren't in. They fought with security, who I think were injured. And then they started having little fight clubs where all the men would stand around and a couple of guys would get in the centre and then fight each other. What is wrong with these guys? What is wrong with these boys? I mean, this is just... I think it's one example of how things are really going wrong in our society. And like I said, I'm against the patriarchy. I'm not saying women are at fault and they should abandon what they're doing to get equality, but we need to do something for boys because they are just lost and sad, and they're looking for anything to cling on to and say, oh, this is what a man is, and this is how I act like a man and how I look tough and feel good about myself and feel less threatened and less vulnerable. And it's just sad. It's just fucking sad. But yeah, I had to comment on this because I just thought, because I'm not normally used to seeing this sort of stuff out of Australia, but I think thanks to social media, America's dysfunction is sort of slowly creeping into our culture. Once upon a time, we used to watch the Americans on TV and laugh at them and comment on their insanity. But now, thanks to social media, it's just slowly creeping into our culture now, and we're starting to act like Americans. And it's really scary. Yeah, that's a whole nother video, and I'm already at 5 minutes. So I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Not saying anything bad about Travis Scott, although this has happened before many times. And one time there was some sort of riot and crush in one of his concerts, and 10 people were killed. And apparently he didn't stop performing. He was being told this was happening over a period of time, and he just ignored it and kept performing while people were dying in front of him. So I think he cares a bit more about money than he cares about his fans. But that's America.